welcome to Everspace 2. Today I'm going to show you the build that I'm using to clear Lunacy 500 Rifts in a very easy fashion so you can farm the legendaries very easily. Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to Everspace. We're going to be going over the build, we're going to be talking about legendaries, we're going to talk about equipment, stats, modifiers, all the different things you need to know, perks, the lot, in order to clear Lunacy 500 Rifts. That's going to give you those guaranteed legendaries as a drop. Okay, let's start with this ship. As you can see here, I've built mine on a gunship, and I've done that because of mainly this special arsenal speciality thing. That means that it has twice the effective DPS as any other ship, but it also uses twice as much weapon power. But this means that when we have our guns at the target, they do a lot more damage. The ultimate is a turret, 20-second turret that basically just one-shots most things around you. It has a relatively good rate of fire, a few high hit point enemies that can't one-shot, but most of them are just gone, vaporized. Super strong, really good. Our build is focusing around getting that ultimate ability up and running as much as possible. We're basically trying to build for uptime on our ultimate ability. Next up, for our passives, there's a number of different passives in here. I recommend you try to get at least the coil gun or the pulse gun turret passive in here. I got the coil gun, which I find to be quite good. Also, the 15% increased boost speed can kind of help the sluggish mobility of the gunship. And the others are kind of more optional. The 30% bonus damage to drones is also very nice. But that's pretty much get one of the two turrets, and then you should be good to go. We're going to come back and talk about devices here in a second. I want to start by talking about equipment. I have the first one is not really a part of the build. I had a spare slot, so I just fitted the beam laser in there. And as you can see, I put in a mining catalyst in it. This is basically just my mining laser when I'm running around, if I'm looking for materials, for upgrade, that kind of stuff. I would probably consider get rid of this, put something else in there, maybe a multi-cannon or something with a high amount of kinetic damage. I don't know. But at least for now, I'm running with this beam laser for mining purposes. But for the actual combat, my main weapon is actually the Gauss cannon that I have up here. Because you have a powerful catalyst in it. Gauss cannons, not necessarily the greatest range, but doesn't really matter. Damage output of them is amazing. They have this spool up time, I'll show you here. So in the beginning when you fire, not a lot happens, but you can see what those four guns, what they do on the gunship. You get a absolutely insane rate of fire, but you also drain that weapon capacitor very quickly. So that's one of my main guns. If that thing runs out of power, I swap over to my backup, which is a coil gun. Slightly longer range, so if I need to snipe drones, I can also kind of use this. 700 meters, pretty good. For missiles, I got with a destabilizer missile. This essentially just means that when it hits an enemy, they take more damage. So it's just a debuff for the enemies, meaning they take more damage. But one of the main benefits that you really need to go for if you're going for this missiles is you need to get that special ability on it that says on primary weapon critical hits 20% chance to fire a free missiles at a locked target 1.5 second cooldown. That means I can lock targets, and when I fire at them, I have a 20% chance on crit. And if you see over here, my crit chance is around 20, just over 20%. So 20% of 20%, that's 4%. So I have a 4% chance on hit to fire one of these missiles. And that's why I think the Gauss cannon is so good, because it's good at proccing all these on crit effects, right? We have a lot of these on crit effects stacked around everywhere. And this insane rate of fire on the gunship compared to the Gauss cannon when it spools up just means that you have that constant proc of the on crit effect with this weapon, which is really good. My second missile weapon is a cruise missile. I use a cruise missile because it's really good for clearing end bosses. This massive damage they do just one-shots a lot of things, so that means you can really use those to just take down enemies relatively fast. So I really like that for enemy clearance. Now for the internal modules, for the power core, I've gone with a Thunder Core. This is a legendary weapon, as you can see. And the reason we got this is of course its legendary effect. It says here that when enemies are affected by an EMP, they will be electrified and they will continually shock targets within 300 meters for some fixed amount of damage. The damage output of this is not necessarily amazing. It's actually quite low, what I use it for, what it's good for, is all those situations when you come up against enemies that has these small support drones. It could be armor drones, shield drones, whatever. They have drones flying around them. What you do is you just do a flyby, and just as you fly by, we're gonna EMP them. I'm gonna show you how in a second. And that means that I'm actually interested in the main ship being EMP'd, because then they're gonna begin to just arc out and they basically destroy all their drones. So whenever you come across a drone-supported enemy, you just go in, EMP them, nuke the drones, and then you can focus on the main target, taking them down a lot quicker, because those are some of the more difficult targets to get down and often more time-consuming targets to take down. Shields, nothing special here, just an overcharged shield. I found a prototype one. Fit whatever you like. Best I found. For the armor, it gets interesting again. We have the Omni Manus. This armor here makes our missile defense system, we're gonna talk more about the missile defense system in a bit, means that not only will it shoot down missiles, but when there's no missiles to shoot down, it will also begin to shoot down enemies around us. And we can see that the DPS here is actually not terrible. I mean, if we compare the DPS here, I mean, it's not quite the same as we get as DPS on the Gauss cannon, but it's kind of up there. So this is a huge damage boost. And again, this can help us when we have a lot of smaller enemies swarming around us, that we just activate this, and since the missile defense system, we can almost keep that at 100% uptime. Not quite, but close. That means we just basically get another primary weapon that we can use to just shoot down things around us. And should missile comes in, they will take down the missile, so it works now both as an offensive and a defensive measure at the same time. The rest is pretty straightforward. I haven't gone for anything special here. I have tried, if I could find it, to try to see if I could focus on getting precision on my modules. So if I find it, I will often put it on there just to try and get that crit up, so we can get those crit procs as we talked about. Really good. I should probably say that this is an armor tanked build. Even though we do have a shield, I'm actually planning on having my shields down as much of the time as possible. I actually want my shields to be down, as it helps keeping our devices up and running. I'll show you all those stacks here in stats here in a second. So for the devices, first off, we have the EMP generator. You might remember we had that Thunder Core in there. This is what we're going to be using. I have a hard reset on it, meaning that when I go in and I attack targets, I'm gonna get a 2-second reduction in the cooldown for every target I hit, 27-second on the normal cooldown, and if I hit the target with the drones, it should at least be 3 of them, the main ship, and at least 2 drones in there. That means I get a 6-second off, then we're down to like 21 seconds. And we're gonna get even more cooldown reductions here in a second. This is just, again, to get that EMP up and running, because not only can we use it to take down drones, but we can also use this, again, as a defensive measure. So that if we get swarmed or we begin to feel like we take a bit more damage, just fire off the EMP. You might not take down everything around you, as some of them might be more than the 580 meters, but you're gonna take down a lot of the incoming damage. Next up, we have the Temporal Nano Recompensator. There we go. Temporal Nano Recompensator. Okay, this is pretty cool. It goes back and say that usually it will say 70% of the armor damage you have taken in the last 60 seconds is repaired. So that means if you take any amount of damage, you repair it. You basically repair it all the way up, because we have this resurgence. That means that the repair amount is increased based on missing armor percentage up to 200%. The front shield here is one that I'm kind of, it's okay. I primarily actually put it in there because I wanted to use it to tank the end boss, as it's a single target, so all damage coming from one direction, so we can open up the shield in front of us. But it doesn't really work against the end boss, so I'm a bit on edge. I couldn't really find anything else where I thought I wanted it in there. I definitely want another support device, because that's going to be vital for our build again later. We'll talk about the perks. So I want another support device there. The front shield is okay. I might swap that out. If you like to have something else, then I would recommend swapping out the front shield generator. What you shouldn't swap out is that missile defense system. Remember we talked about that from the armor. This is the one that basically keeps missiles away from us, and it takes down enemies when there's no missiles to shoot at. You can see here 20 seconds uptime, 19 seconds cooldown, which is really good uptime on its own. On top of that, then we have that every destroyed missile increases the remaining duration by 1 second. So every time a missile comes in, you get an extra second of uptime. Meaning we get a really, really good uptime on this. And as I said, with cooldown reductions, we can pretty much keep this up indefinitely. For the perks here, I've gone with a exit strategy so that I can boost and reduce my damage. Again, just reducing incoming damage. For the next one, I've gone with precursive maintenance. This is really awesome. This is where a lot of our device cooldown is coming from. You can see here that incoming direct armor or hull hits have a 20% chance to reducing a random device cooldown by 20%. And since we're basically going to be running with our shields down as much of the time as possible, and if our shields are not down, we're doing extremely well. So that means we don't really care about the cooldowns then. With this, because we constantly have our shields down, we're constantly taking those armor hits. Every time a hit lands, it's a 10% chance to reduce one of your device's cooldowns. Next up, we got Relentless. 20% increase in weapon energy capacity for each installed support device. So remember how I talked about that I maybe wanted to swap out the front shield generator. If I am to swap it out or swap it out for another support device, because I want those increased capacity. I have the 1 EMP generator because it's just so good, but a 60% increase in weapon capacity is quite neat, simply because the gunship is very energy capacitor hungry. As it has more weapons, it draws energy weapon capacitor. Next up we have ulterior motive. I was kind of trying to run at some point with the critical hit, but I began to do the math on it, and it doesn't really make a lot of sense, because if you look at it, it says the critical hit has a 30% chance to restore 1% ultimate energy. So with a 20% crit chance and a 30% chance on crit, that's 30% of 20. That's 6% chance to get 1% ultimate energy. That means we're gonna need around, on average, 600 hits on target before we fully charge our ultimate. And at the end, it just wasn't good enough. It just wasn't, even though we have a very high rate of fire, I just don't think it's competitive. I think this one is better than 100% increase to utility or ultimate generation when the shields is depleted. And again, we're trying to run with the shields down as much as we can. Okay, next up, we could have gone, if we had any kind of web missiles, if you want to go with any kind of web functionality, then you could go with this one that increases your critical hit chance against enemies with movement that is impaired. I don't have any kind of web or anything that slows them down. So this one doesn't really work for me. And this one that focuses on secondary weapons. Again, we are a main gun boat here, so therefore we're definitely going to go with the reflect 30% of incoming damage back to your attacker. The reason why this one is good is because it scales with enemies. A big problem with the way that they have designed these legendaries is that it is a fixed damage amount. It doesn't scale very well as you go to higher and higher level rifts, simply because the damage is the same. It doesn't go up, and there's no way to increase that. I'm kind of a bit... I'm swapping... well, no, okay, we need to dock before I swap. I've been swapping a little bit between Overkill and Symphony of Destruction. We obviously don't want the Ride the Lightning, like killing an enemy while your shield is up. No, thank you. But Overkill, where after my ultimate expires, you get primary weapon remaining charge. You basically get like a 15 second, up to 15 seconds duration where you get 20% damage boost, but most importantly, you pierce shield and armor. This is really good for just right after the ultimate is down and you know you're going to be low on energy. You can just quickly take down enemies the next 15 seconds so we can get it back up. I really like that. The other one is destroying an enemy with a crit. Again, we have that relatively high crit chance. Causes their energy core to discharge, dealing damage equivalent to 60/80 of the maximum hull in a large radius. Again, of the maximum hull, this means that again it scales with the enemies as they get more difficult, as they get bigger. They also do more damage, and it's a relatively large explosion radius, so you can basically use them as a bomb. When they explode, they will take out other ships around them. So that is the build. Let's go and let's jump into a spatial bypass. Okay, so as we get in, we're just going to try to get close to a relatively large group of enemies. We are going to get the missile defense system up, and we're just going to begin Slowly shoot these guys down. Don't fire off your ultimate right at the beginning. Wait for them to come closer, because at the beginning there's only going to be very few enemies around you. But as you have more of them incoming, as we see we have now, then we can begin to fire up our ultimate. We can just go and give this guy a helping hand by relieving him of his drones. Like so, there we go, your drones are gone and so are you. And now it's just a matter of clearing targets around you. Shields are down, that's good. Oh, we'll take a lot of damage there, actually. A little bit too much damage there. Quick repair and a hull repair as well. Shields up. Just gonna fire a defensive EMP there to try and help get rid of some of that incoming damage. We have 3 seconds for the repair, that should be fine. Repairs up, let's repair the hull. And we should have the ultimate ready again in a second. One more kill. Oh, wrong one. There we go. Ultimate is ready again. Let's fire that thing up. Okay, as soon as I hear that chime, that means this room has been cleared. I'm gonna try to see if we can kill a few enemies, at least one before they leave. Ah, okay, I didn't manage to get one. I was a little bit too far away. Sometimes you can manage to kill 1 or 2 of them before they leave. We'll try again in the next room. But that just helps increase that ultimate energy. And that's also why I killed it early. As soon as you hear that chime, just stop the ultimate. You don't need to spend any more energy. Okay, exactly the same procedure. Missile defense, shields up. Ultimate is ready. Let's go. This guy over here with a few drones. We're just gonna go and get nice and close, EMP him. Drones is gone, and the ultimate took care of him. There we go. We got another charge there of the ultimate, so we can go and begin to take down a few more. There we go. We're at 93%, so we're just gonna let that thing. There's the chime. Let's see if we can fight a few of them. There's one without any armor. Ah, didn't get him. Missile defense system is back. Ah, come on. Need to find an easy target here so we can get that ultimate back. It's been way too long since we had that up and running now. Ha! Can't hit anything. Need some armor repair there. Armor's getting low. Go for this guy. There we go. Finally. Actually killing something. There we go. Ultimate is ready. I'm gonna EMP as we're a little low on armor and we still have like almost 10 seconds left on the armor repair cooldown. There's the armor repair. Shields up. And missile defense system is on cooldown. So now we're going to be heading into the boss room. Now, one of the things that you need to consider when you're heading in here is don't get too close. The projectile speed of the weapons that fired by the boss here is not super high. Okay, he's right there. Shields, defense system, and damage multiplier. And then some missiles away. And then just basically move around him. Try to avoid damage if you can. And also actually try to hit him. Ah, messing up my weapons here. There we go. Okay. Apparently we're using the beam laser now. Again, just keep moving around him, focus on him. And you can use the EMP to take down enemies around you. Just disable them for a few seconds if you have too much incoming damage. And there we go. The boss is down. And then we can see a legendary. No need to worry about the loot right now. It'll be pulled out with you. So for now we can just relax a bit. You can see all our loot. And we're all going to be pulled out of the rift. And here we are on the other side. Notice that all the consumables and missiles and stuff you use inside the rifts are refunded when you come back out. So you don't have to worry about that. Okay, let's see. We've got a number of different prototype devices. But yeah, no Starforged items this time, unfortunately. We did get a legendary shield, so we're just gonna send that back to the base like so. So we have that stored on the base in case we need it. That's the build. I really hope you enjoyed it. And also, if you would like to see more builds, if you have a specific ship you would like to see me try to make a build on, I've been considering trying to make a sniper on a little scout. I'm not sure if they are that viable for rifts, but I think it could be hilarious. If you really just go for max mobility and just zooming around the battlefield and sniping people at range. I don't know if that will work, but it could be fun to build and just see if it will work. But anyway, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys in space.